This video was created by Vinylicpuma of Vinylicpumagaming.
Alright guys, so before you say that Pete Hines from Bethesda already confirmed that there wasn't going to be any more DLC for Fallout 4, this video will be reasonable speculation as to why there could in fact be more DLC for Fallout 4. Now, while I can't say for sure what the size of the DLC would be, I do think I have some good reasons as to why we could possibly see some more Fallout 4 DLC after the Nuka World DLC comes out. I'm also going to be including a link in the description to a straw poll that simply asks, quote, would you want more DLC after Nuka World comes out? Feel free to participate in that if you want. Otherwise, let's go ahead and get into the 5 reasons why there might be more Fallout 4 DLC after Nuka World comes out. So the first thing I want to talk about here is Borderlands 2. Now, Borderlands 2 is not Fallout 4, but this is a game that I cover fairly frequently on my channel that's had some similarities to Fallout 4. Both Fallout 4 and Borderlands 2 have had a ridiculous amount of DLC, and Borderlands 2 in particular had even more DLC after the supposed final DLC, which for the record was Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep, came out. The DLC that came out after the Dragon Keep DLC were, of course, the Digistruct Peak DLC, which increased the level cap and added a new area, as well as the Headhunter packs, all 5 of which added new areas. It's worth mentioning that all of the big campaign DLCs were a part of the Season Pass, and everything, including Digistruct Peak and after, was not part of the Season Pass. It's also worth mentioning that Borderlands 2 was extremely profitable for Gearbox and 2K games. As of July 2016, Borderlands 2 is in the top 10 highest peak player count games on Steam, as is Fallout 4, and for the record, Borderlands 2 is currently ranked in 9th place, while Fallout 4 is ranked in 3rd place. Now, not to mention that according to VG charts, the PS4 version of Fallout 4 sold 9 million units, and the Xbox One version sold about 6 million units. The PC version sold about 1 million units. And keep in mind, this doesn't include digital sales for the game because VG Charts doesn't track digital sales. My whole point here is that Fallout 4 was extremely profitable for Bethesda, and it seems like they would want to possibly sell more DLC, sort of like what happened for Borderlands 2. Who's to say that we wouldn't get DLC that wasn't a part of the Season Pass? So the second thing I want to talk about here is Fallout 4 VR. So Fallout 4 VR is going to be coming out sometime next year, and as far as we know, it's going to be compatible with the HTC Vive headset. Now, I made another video on this before, but I discussed that I don't think Fallout 4 VR will be free to people that purchase the regular version of Fallout 4, and my big reasoning for that is mostly technical reasons, as Fallout 4 is going to require Bethesda Game Studios to develop a new engine for the game. Not only will you need to have support for like the Vive headset and the Vive motion controllers, but you will also need to get Fallout 4 to run at a resolution with 25% more pixels than 1080p at 90 frames per second. And for those of you that don't know, if you're on the PC version, you'll know that the resolution required isn't necessarily a problem. However, Fallout 4 is unstable at frame rates beyond 60 frames per second. And for them to do VR properly, they're going to have to make an entirely new engine to put Fallout 4 VR in. And besides, who is to say that Bethesda wouldn't make DLC add-ons for the VR version of Fallout 4? Furthermore, both Sony and Microsoft are working on consoles that will allow for VR support. Microsoft, of course, has the Project Scorpio, while Sony has the PS4 Neo. And it would be wise for Bethesda to develop Fallout 4 VR for all platforms. Just additional side speculation, but will Fallout 4 VR be a launch title for Microsoft's Project Scorpio that's supposed to hit sometime next year? So I think the third reason here is going to be that there is desire to have more DLC for Fallout 4. So from what I've been able to tell, both from just the regular community as well as the YouTube community for Fallout 4, people would like more Fallout 4 DLC, especially if it's new campaign DLC in the vein of something like Far Harbor or Nuka World, or maybe Old World Blues from Fallout New Vegas, and maybe The Pit or Operation Anchorage from Fallout 3. Fallout 3 had the Broken Steel add-on, which wrapped up some of the plot points from Fallout 3, and while I think Fallout 4's ending is better than Fallout 3's original ending, I would sort of like to know what happened to the Commonwealth after you either destroy the Institute, or what happens to the Commonwealth if you side with the Brotherhood, Railroad, or Minutemen respectively. Maybe even what happens if you ultimately decide to side with the Institute. I also think that many, including myself, weren't particularly crazy about the Workshop DLCs for Fallout 4, and while I've yet to play the Vault-Tec Workshop DLC because it's not out yet, both Wasteland and Contraptions were sort of mediocre to me. Neither added to Fallout 4's plot in any significant way. And Bethesda does listen to their community, and I think they would be willing to make more, especially if the argument could be made that if it were profitable to make more DLC. The fourth thing kind of revolves around Pete Hines' confirmation. Now, a lot of the reports from various gaming media outlets are based on a tweet from Pete Hines. Now, let me repeat that for emphasis. The evidence that there won't be more DLC after Nuka World is based on a tweet. Now, the question is from Twitter user @AndysDylan, who asked, is Nuka World going to be the last Fallout 4 DLC, or are you guys planning more as the year goes on? To which Pete Hines, aka @DCDeacon, replies, quote, last one. Now, maybe I'm like an aging millennial, or maybe I'm just dumb, but it's just a tweet, guys. How can this be used for official confirmation of anything? Now, that's not to say that Pete Hines doesn't know what he's talking about. He knows way more about Fallout 4 than I do. But it could be that they truly don't have anything else planned, or it could also mean that they do have things planned, however, they don't feel comfortable announcing that they have anything else coming out in the future. Now, I mentioned Borderlands 2 earlier on in this video, but many news outlets at the time reported that Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep was in fact going to be the final DLC for Borderlands 2. And in retrospect, that definitely was not the case. Not only did the Digistruct Peak DLC come out, but Gearbox also held a community event alongside the release of 3 Headhunter packs, which eventually turned into the release of 5 Headhunter packs, which was pretty crazy at the time. My entire point is that keep in mind, this is just a tweet, and I would argue unless Fallout 4 and Bethesda Game Studios officially come out and say that, yeah, this is it, go home and cry yourself to sleep, there's going to be more DLC probably. Now, I think my final bit of reasoning here is going to be the Fallout 4 Season Pass price increase. And I think this alone proves that the profit motive for making more DLC is there. And I think Bethesda Game Studios, if they did make more DLC, they easily could, because they would recoup the costs of development. Now, while I think the Season Pass price increase was ultimately lame, considering the only true campaign experiences we got from that were Automatron, which was pretty short, Far Harbor was alright, and Nuka World, which isn't out yet, I think this Season Pass price increase does show that Bethesda is willing to make more content if they think they can sell it to you. And who's to say that Bethesda couldn't make another $20 add-on for Fallout 4 in the veins of like Far Harbor or Nuka World? Skyrim was supposed to get a DLC called Redguard, and while it was ultimately canceled, who's to say it wouldn't have been released under more favorable circumstances? Considering that Fallout 4 was extremely profitable for Bethesda, I think that we could see something. But who's to say? Anyway, guys, I think that's going to pretty much wrap up this particular video. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, and as always, take care, and I'll see y'all next time.